Good afternoon. Welcome to Bing TV. We're one short today, as we mentioned yesterday, or last week. Last week. It was last week. Peter's off to UC Santa Barbara. Oh, exactly. He enjoyed his first week back in education land.
On the bright side, we can move around a little bit now.
Yeah, for some reason I would think it was a little bit less cramped with one less person here.
And yet it doesn't feel like it.
Not so much.
No, not so much.
I still feel stifled by you guys right now. Sorry.
Stifled.
I can see how you could feel that way.
Yeah. You know someone who's felt the same way?
I do actually.
Tell us, Boris, what have you found? What have you found?
I'll save that for later.
Alright.
Anyways, what we decided to talk about today in the kind of mindset of what's going on with the overall economy, and of course everyone knows what's going on with the financial sector. Actually, everyone doesn't know what's going on with the financial sector. That's kind of the problem. But what happened since last week? Merrill Lynch got bought up by Bank of America. Fed's proposing a $700 billion bailout of every single bank of the entire banking industry. The banking industry might go public versus private.
Washington Mutual got
Crazy.
bought up.
Washington Mutual just got bought up. So all kinds of craziness going on just in the overall national economy. Of course, us being specific to the software market, aren't really necessarily feeling the direct effect of that yet, but have to be kind of sensitive to the fact that we most likely will. So the topic on a lot of people's minds is from the perspective of someone that just got let go from Lehman Brothers, or someone that will probably be let go from Washington Mutual or Merrill Lynch or whatnot. What do you do if an unexpected layoff hits you, or if your company unexpectedly doesn't get around to funding? So how do you prepare yourself for that sort of uncertainty in the market, so as to avoid the holy shit, I haven't looked for a job in years and now I have to start. What do I do now to avoid that sort of kind of like pants down, screwed sort of a scenario? What sort of things can candidates be thinking?
Distinct choice of words there, buddy.
What sort of things should candidates be thinking about? So a lot of candidates in our market, they're employed, they're well retained, they're paid well, they're having fun, they're excited, doing what they're doing, and then one day, boom, they're laid off, right? How do they protect themselves during those times when things are going well for them?
I'd say the best piece of advice initially is to do a lot of networking. You know a lot of people and a lot of companies, and you kind of keep yourself abreast of what's going on in the market. If something does happen, you could call those contacts. Especially if you used to work with them, they could vouch with you. It's an easy in.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just staying current with the marketplace. It really amazes me how many people out there have no idea what companies are getting funded, what new companies are coming up, and just really having no familiarity with the marketplace whatsoever. I mean, there's really little things you can do to stay up with that. Like Eli said, go to social networking events, meet with people, stay in touch with people. One of the things that I think is really instrumental in staying current with the marketplace is the guys who will just set up some kind of cheap website for themselves. Nothing too spectacular, but get their resume online. Not so much on the job boards, but put it out there for people to see. That way you'll get the calls, you'll find out what's going on. And when you get the call, listen, pay attention. Don't just brush it off to another recruiter giving you a call. Dig for information, find out what's going on.
If I'm an employer, by the way, because I've been stumbling across a ton of those websites recently, all over Google, like little blogs that nobody really broadcast, but have everybody's resume, and it's always up to date.
Yeah.
And if I were an employer, I'd be a little bit nervous if an employee had that up, because how many people are really looking at it to see this guy's experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's less worry on the candidate side if they have a resume that's posted online just on their own website versus being on a job board like a Monster, like a Career Builder. A lot of these guys, let's face it, have egos and want people to ooh and ah over their background, so they'll put it up for the world to see. Doesn't mean they're actively looking for a new position, but it's still a good way of putting themselves out there.
Yeah, am I the only one that's thinking take my phone call?
Yeah.
There genuinely are few better ways to stay in touch with the job market than to talk to somebody who spends they eat, sleep, breathe jobs. The job market. I mean, our entire responsibility is to know exactly what's going on at all times. And the people who, I've talked to people who will tell me, I couldn't name another company in the software space in my town. Which is it's amazing to me. This person happened to work at a large e-commerce company in Seattle, and genuinely, I got the sense they didn't know that Google and Yahoo had moved into town. How'd you miss that memo? And it's because, taking phone calls from people like us, you know what, you don't have to be actively looking for a job. We're a great asset for that. You know what, I recognize that I'm not going to retire here. I recognize that my company won't give me the benefit of 1 month's notice whenever they plan to close down shop, that things can change, and we're a great asset in making sure you're prepared for that change.
So it sounds like two things have come up. One, put yourself in a position to be found, right? Set up a blog, set up a personal website, with your resume up there so that people can find you in the event that something interesting is available. And then two, go out to networking events, stay in touch with blogs so that you know what's going on and can jump on an opportunity when it becomes available, right? And another interesting topic came up is will attending networking events, will having a website with your resume, posted on it, necessarily signify to an employer that you are actively looking for work? Is that a problem?
Well, you as an employer.
I don't want your resume online. I'll
So,
be honest, yeah.
yeah, you don't want your...
What resume, right?
Exactly. But I mean, you don't want your people putting their resumes up there. As an employer yourself, it's
We're
like...
different, though. We're different.
But it's a lot different for a recruiter to post a resume online. If a recruiter posts a resume online, there's a clear-cut purpose to get people to call them to present jobs to them. If someone does it from a software engineering background, he's just highlighting his accomplishments. A recruiter's not going to highlight his accomplishments online. I placed 25 people this year. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? But a person who technology is their job and they're proud of their accomplishments is going to use that online forum to post what they've done.
To an extent,
I agree. So recruiters...
I actually completely disagree. I think
Is that why your resume is online right now?
I actually like what he said. Don't post your resume online,
Yeah.
right? Because there's no reason for it.
Right.
If you're in software engineering.
You should post your resume. I'm sure you love that.
If you work for Google or eBay, please post your resume.
And if you hate getting calls at your office, post a resume online with your cell phone number.
Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah. One of the things, if an employer's truly that worried about keeping his people, he needs to be treating them better. You're going to be pretty paranoid to think, my employee has his resume up on his blog, my employee went out to this networking event, oh my god, he must be looking for another job. Either you are super paranoid or you treat your people like crap and you have a high turnover rate, because there's just no reason to assume that just because people are out and networking that they're looking for their next job. And frankly, we had this conversation whenever the whole Yahoo layoff thing was going, that guys would talk about how happy they were at Yahoo and how they can never see leaving and they really believe in their team, but then we're calling their manager and that manager of that team is taking our phone call. These guys' bosses have their resumes up online. These guys' bosses are going to networking events, and they became the boss because they went to those things, because they took our phone call, because they put them up. They grew their career by doing those things.
Right.
So I think that if somebody's significantly that concerned for us, I get the sense that if somebody had their resume up, yeah, it probably wouldn't thrill you, but at the same time, you present a good environment, it's a fun place to work, we enjoy our jobs here, and somebody's going to make a super compelling case for us to consider something being greener on the other side. And I would think that you would be comfortable. Sure, do you want that in an ideal world? Do we not? Right, but are you going to be just coming out of your shell worried that we're going to be out the door in 5 months or in 5 weeks or 5 days? I don't think so.
Right. I mean, from an employer's perspective, I'm pretty much 100% not delusional at all that people have options, right? There's no way to keep someone locked in unless you're Amazon or Google and overpay them double market or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's all about providing the right environment, providing the best incentive for them to be great at what they're doing right here and then. And when it's time to move, it's time to move. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it, right? People leave, people come,
It really
people
just
go.
boils down to insecurity. I mean, if you feel that you have a strong product and your company is good and people are happy there, you're not going to be worried about whether or not the engineer's resume online or not. It's kind of like when you go out with a girl, do you want her to look cute? Are you scared that other guys are going to look at her? Well, have a little bit of security,
Right.
and you'll understand that if
That's
you're
a
doing what
phenomenal
you need to do, that she's not going to be looking elsewhere.
Right. So I think from an employer's perspective, do you guys think it's still considered taboo to have a resume out there, to be attending networking events? Do you think some people could think it's still taboo to do that type of stuff?
I actually, just to relate this a little bit to dating in a sense, it's like if I heard a story, one of my girlfriend's best friends was in a relationship, but she was still taking guys' numbers as she was seeing the other guy. Reason being that if it didn't work out, she wanted
Passively looking at new opportunities.
But that seems wrong, you know what I mean? Just like if you're in an employer and the relationship's good, why would you need to take those numbers?
Right.
I mean, you're setting yourself up for something bad to happen, and then
Well,
Yeah.
to compare it even again to dating, is working at a company and then interviewing somewhere else considered borderline, cheating or infidelity?
It is, yeah.
Well, as long as she has a reason for getting that number, if there's a reason behind getting that number, he owns this type of company, which will help me do this, and you can at least lie to her boyfriend and justify it somehow. Fair enough. Same thing with employees. If you can have a reason to justify why your resume is online, then don't worry about it. But if your resume is posted all over Monster with a big sign that says, "I hate my job, come find me," it's a little bit of a different story,
I think. Oh, are we done?
Yeah, we need to pick this one up next time around.
Yeah.